Sup everybody, Expert Opinions here. I know you've been watching my videos with Langdon Tactical. Well, today we're not going to be talking about Berettas. I like the Berettas, you like the Berettas. But there are other companies in Europe besides Beretta. Today we're going to be talking about H&K. Does H&K love us? No. No. If you're not in the police or in the military, H&K doesn't love you. But you know what? They got some good guns. So if you need some work done on your gun, LTT does it. I think that's pretty cool. Check it out.
This is a P30L. We also have one of the new VP9A1s, but we work on a lot of different HKs. We have the Mark 23, we work on the USPs, the different 45 calibers like HK45, USP45, USP45 compact. We do work on, I guess not all of them, but I think almost all of the kind of recent modern crop of HK hammer-fired handguns and HK striker-fired handguns. So some of the stuff we do to these is, again, everything that comes direct from us is going to have a trigger job. So, and like I've mentioned before, how we, just because we are doing something doesn't mean we're going to go make a part for it and compete with whoever else is making parts. These have a lot of Gray Guns parts on the inside. They're a really good partner of ours. They do phenomenal work. So a lot of the stuff that's in here is Gray Guns parts that are kind of polished and assembled by our gunsmiths. And so we do a couple of different things on the HKs. We'll do their double action, single action guns, which is what these are. We also do some of their LEM or law enforcement modification guns. Those are really popular. And we also do red dot cuts on the HK hammer fired handguns. So this is something that there's not a whole lot of folks out there doing it. We're really happy with the solution that we have here. They work out really well for really high round count shooting. So the HKs, the thing that is really, really spectacular about these is just like pretty much everything else HK does, is they are completely bulletproof. Like the guns are phenomenal. They're very, very well made. But HK is typically building their guns for organizational customers. So, when they were making the P30, like they weren't necessarily intending for their primary customer to be, us here on the US, civilian market. So some of the kind of the user interface is, not quite what I think the civilian standard would be, particularly on the triggers. So that's why our trigger work on these guns really makes them a much better proposition, because you get to take advantage of how really spectacularly reliable, how very accurate they are, but with a trigger pull that lets you kind of take advantage of that, and with an optic cut that lets you take advantage of that. More recently, we've moved over, but we've brought online work on the VP9 series of handguns. So these also get trigger jobs. This has the Gray Guns hybrid trigger. We also offer the Gray Guns flat trigger. And both of these guns are actually, they're stippled by Defiant Machine, which is an option that we offer. We can send your gun out to them to get worked over. So the thing that we like about the VP9s is, I've mentioned, kind of human factor safeties, mechanical safeties, double action, single action, partially tensioned striker-fired handguns. This, if you're not aware, is a fully tensioned striker-fired handgun, which means that when you are pulling the trigger, you are not continuing to compress the striker spring before it releases. It's already all the way tensioned and you just release it. So it's essentially single action only. So for a mechanism like that, we really appreciate it when the companies take a lot of effort into the internal safety mechanisms of the handgun. The VP9 is a really stellar example of that. If you've ever torn one of these apart, the firing pin block, they really went the extra mile. Instead of just being a plunger, which is great, like all of these guns, except for the P30, if I recall, I think even the P30L has a standard plunger style firing pin block. It's a good system, but on the VP9s, they've changed that to be a totally balanced rotating block. So what that means is no matter which way the gun gets dropped, there's not really any physical way for for that block to rotate out of engagement with the firing pin. So if, for whatever reason, the entirety of the trigger mechanism was to fail and that spring took over and was pushing the striker forward, that firing pin block is going to be in place to arrest it. They also, obviously, they have the really nice HK ergonomics. The A1 series of VP9s have been updated with a much better excuse me, much better magazine well, really nice front cocking serrations, kind of a whole litany of other things. They really went through and tried to address the handful of shortcomings that the VP9 originally had.